So what I did all weekend was, first I watched this movie called Zeitgeist Addendum, and I know there's a lot of problems with the first Zeitgeist. The second one also has a lot of problems, especially in the latter half of the movie. But the first half deals with the Federal Reserve and the IMF and World Bank. And basically it explains how we're cheated out of our money through banking games, how they generate our money. I've always wanted to return to a gold-backed dollar. There's arguments against the gold-backed dollar, but the main beneficiaries of the current system of currency generation in our country are bankers. These bankers at the top, the bankers all through the line. And interest and inflation are tied into this system. I'm just going to put a link over here to the Zeitgeist Addendum. You can watch it for yourself. If you don't agree with everything, I don't agree with a lot in the latter half of the movie, with the futurism, the technocracy that's proposed. I could go into detail why I don't think that works, but I'll let them explain their argument to you, and then we can debate it in either IMs or in the comments below, whatever you want to do. So anyways, we're in a mess right now, and the government is going to hand over a lot of money, not only to our private corporations. They're trying to save the car. Well, okay, let's put it this way. If I wanted to own some of GM or Ford or whoever they're going to bail out, I would buy their stock. I don't want to own them because I don't think American car companies can remain competitive. And I think those businesses need to file for bankruptcy. And it's really going to suck for the people that retired there, the pensioners, but the unions won't budge. And the unions are being unrealistic. And a business has to be a business. It has to be able to generate a profit. And people aren't buying cars right now anyway, so they're just going to rip right through that money. I mean, this is going to hurt. I mean, what's coming is going to hurt. And throwing more money into these banks that some of them were forced to make these loans to people with bad credit ratings who had a history of financial irresponsibility, but there was some predatory lending going on. And maybe these banks need to go bankrupt. Maybe, it's not the public's self-interest to throw more money. Because when we just generate this money, it's going to devalue our dollar. And those of us who have been financially responsible, like me, I mean, I drink and I smoke, but I've always taken care of my money. I don't have credit card debt. The only debt I have is student loans, which I'm overpaying back to knock off a lot of that interest. But now we're all going to be, regardless of how financially responsible we were and how we lived within our means, we're all going to be punished collectively through hyperinflation. And most people don't care. They sit there and they watch American Idol, and they don't even really suspect what's going to happen.
I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressmen because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value. So, I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore. I want you to get up right now. Get up, go to your windows, open them, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore. Things have got to change.
How many stations does this go out?
You've got to get mad.
67.
Say,
I know it goes to Louisville and Atlanta.
I'm not going to take this anymore. Then we'll figure out what to do about the depression and the inflation and the oil crisis. But first, get up out of your chairs, open the window, stick your head out and yell, and say, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
And the problem is, like with oil, the oil prices are obviously being manipulated because I don't think demand has been cut enough for it to fall down to $2 a gallon, and I don't think production has been increased enough. So I think there's a certain amount of manipulation going on there, besides just the speculation that the media blamed it on. Maybe that's paranoid. I don't know. I mean, I'm just not a particularly trusting person when it comes to oil companies. And oil companies have always been this way. I recommend this book by Upton Sinclair, Oil. They also made a movie, if you don't like reading, There Will Be Blood. It details out how oil companies have bought politicians since the Harding administration, and it's been pretty blatant. There's been investigations over and over throughout the years. It is fiction, but it's kind of based on fact, on history. So the thing is, I'm also going to provide a link over here to this paper by MIT and Massachusetts Institute of Technology. And this is it's legitimate. It's sponsored by the Department of Energy, sponsored a paper for MIT to investigate geothermal power. And that's also mentioned in that Zeitgeist movie. And basically what they do, I'm not going to go real deep into it, but they bore 2 holes real deep into the Earth's crust. And I'm talking a couple miles down, 2-3 miles down, where, the Earth is molten magma, hence you get lava and everything else. And you get down there and it's hot. So you pump water in one hole, and it permeates through the rock. And basically what it does is it flash vaporizes into steam and shoots out the other hole. You put a turbine on top of that. It spins a turbine, and you can generate electricity. And then with the hot water that's coming out, the steam, you can also use it for the leftover steam for all kinds of stuff. You can put it into piping and heat buildings and run it under sidewalks so you don't have to scoop snow. It'll melt it off. It'll keep the sidewalk warm. There's different things that can be done with it. We have the technology to do these things. And it would provide a lot of cheap electricity. However, in 2007, despite all its promise, this is written up by people in MIT, they're our most prestigious engineering and science college in this country. They produce so many computer scientists and just all kinds of, hard science fields. Despite all the promise and how economical this would be, the Bush administration killed all funding for hydrothermal research in 2007. I'm sure it was just because they wanted to balance the budget. But, Halliburton and all that, Cheney's ties to it, and all the other oil companies' ties to the Bush administration. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to sound like a conspiracy wacko, but on the other hand, you got to have some common sense and know that people are going to protect things in their own self-interest, even if it is against the interest of the U.S. population and citizens in general, and probably the world. They're actually doing some research on it in Australia, and they're really looking into it. Okay, this is probably getting long, so I think I'm going to cut it.
You get up on your little 21-inch screen and howl about America and democracy. There is no America. There is no democracy. There is only IBM and ITT and AT&T and DuPont, Dow, Union Carbide, and Exxon. Those are the nations of the world today. What do you think the Russians talk about in their councils of state? Karl Marx? They get out their linear programming charts, statistical decision theories, Minimax solutions, and compute the price-cost probabilities of their transactions and investments, just like we do. We no longer live in a world of nations and ideologies, Mr. Beale. The world is a college of corporations, inexorably determined by the immutable bylaws of business.